Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Kim.
Hello, hello.
Hi again, Erik.
Hi again, Mom.
So, look, we could talk about all different things I'll give you a choice, okay? How to let go of a painful past. And also, we talked about bringing Einstein back in to talk about the physics of death and give us a little bit more information about dark matter and dark energy, but mostly what happens physics wise in death. Or the root of self sabotage. Name your poison.
Ooh, he laughed when you said that. He's talking about how to let go of a painful past.
Okay.
Um,
Because so many of us do have a painful past. Probably most of the people who come to the blog find their way here because they have had a life of pain.
he says everybody can relate to this, and this can be helpful on a large scale, so that's why I want to choose this one right now, he says. Um, he goes, "You want me to start? You got a question? You want me to start?"
No,
He's getting goofy.
I'll give you just like free reign. Free range chicken.
So then he had to make a chicken noise.
Of course he did.
Okay. All right. He says the reason why people have a hard time letting go of a painful past, he goes, there's so many dynamics to it. One of the biggest things that people do and go through is, what is going on with my throat today?
Uh-oh.
He keeps saying,
Hope you're not coming down with something.
no, it's weird. This only happens when I channel. I clear my throat
Oh,
constantly when I channel. It's weird.
okay.
But he says people feel the need to regurgitate past situations in their mind over and over and over because he says part of it is what he's picking on females today. He says
Oh,
he goes, females more than males will do this. That need for understanding. So they will regurgitate something over and over and over to try to okay, he says to try to understand it, understand what happened, and see again what they can take away from it. But also, he's making fun of me. Okay, maybe I'll share that if I get brave enough. I might share it, but
okay.
uh, um, he really wants me to. But um, part of going through past situations, he says, is people will play out, they'll go back to that situation and play out all possible scenarios.
Mm.
And that in itself can lead to, that's a whole can of worms. He goes, "You want me to open that?" I said, "Not right now." But he's talking about, basically, to keep it short, he says, when they play out all those different scenarios, like, well, if I would have done this instead of that, this could have happened, and then
Mm.
this, and then manifesting that reality for themselves. So it's always the questions of what if,
Yeah.
he says, people beat themselves up when they do that. The reason why people hold on to that is it's not intentional. It may seem intentional, and people get stuck and they get caught up in this nasty funk that can take forever to get
Yeah.
out of. He says, whether it's a situation, whether it's a tragedy, they have not learned and processed and healed from that circumstance, he says. So that's why it's still with them. Once they're able to truly release the attachment of that situation or understand it for why did this happen to me? Why is this a part of my life? And can process it effectively, then the attachment will like dissolve, is what he shows me. Um, yeah, I'm not going to go there, Erik. Not sharing that one. Sorry.
Poor
um,
Kim, what are you doing to her?
um, so he says, no matter what it is that you're hanging on to, he goes like that. Know that he goes. There's so many people out there that think, why can't I get over this? Why can't I move on? And if you take the true sense of self and connect to the now and in this moment and only focus on what you have now, that honestly, he says that's truly all that matters. Yes, you learn from your past, but you're not in your past. So continuing to go there mentally is literally torturous to your soul. It's very damaging.
Yeah.
He says, but it's easy for you guys. It's very easy. It's not easy for us here to hang on to what feels like garbage. He says you can't. It's
Yeah.
just not
The
possible.
energy's too dense and too heavy, huh?
Yeah, he says it's too heavy. It's like, oh my gosh, here comes the cussing. And, he says it's like carrying the heaviest bag of shit you could imagine.
Yes. I wouldn't carry a light bag of shit, so.
But he says, if I can help any of you step outside of that and move away from that, know that any past situation that you feel like is keeping you caught up in a funk does not have to define you. A lot of people think that. A lot of people think, well, I lost my dad and now I'm this person without a dad. And he says, while it may be true that you went through that change in your family dynamics, it doesn't change who you are.
Okay.
It doesn't define you. But often people let situations define them, and then that's where you see them get like sluggish and caught up in this funk, and then there's no motivation to move forward. He says people let situations, occurrences, events, even other people define who they are, and that takes away from your own purity, your own sense of self. So getting down to the roots of it, he says, realizing you are who you are without anything around you, without anybody, any experiences, anything. You are a being all by yourself with your own energy makeup. And things around you are going to affect your vibration in certain ways, he says, but ultimately you don't have to carry it. And also that comes from guilt, Mom. He says people feel guilty, so they have to carry that right here on their chest. I don't want to be happy. I lost my husband and I shouldn't be happy anymore. Or, he goes, even people do that thing with eating where even if it's after a bad breakup, I can't eat. I'm too emotional. I can't eat.
Or they break out the Ben and Jerry's sometimes.
Yeah. He says it's specific to people and how they process things. But he's quoting, this is really cool, one of my best friends, Ethan Yance. I'm going to say your name. You're welcome. Erik says, he's quoting what Ethan said to me the other day. Your heart goes where it wants to, but you're the one that holds it back. So don't hold your heart back. Like your heart is going to follow what it needs to and go where it needs to, but you're the one that holds it back because of this.
Your mind. Yeah.
Erik is saying, I love you, Ethan. He's blowing him kisses.
Aww.
So hopefully he'll watch this video. But he says, know that for all of you that are suffering and struggling because of past things that have happened, even recently, even if it was just yesterday or years ago, it's okay to be happy and your heart wants to go there, but your mind won't let you. Your mind wants to carry that grief. So it's okay to let go. Honor your heart and what your heart wants to do, he says. He goes, because if you don't, you'll get sick.
Yeah. Physically and mentally?
Yep.
Yeah.
He says, yep. The physical, that's where the people, they don't eat, they start drinking, they start acting not like their self because they're denying their self of who they are. He says, so that's just separating from your higher self.
Yeah.
Changing your characteristics of who you are.
Well, ruminating over things, there was a part of me that after you died, Erik, and that was just a horrific experience, the frantic, the screaming, the sights, the smells, the sounds. It was just horrible. And I had to go through that in my mind over and over again to try to get the emotional charge off of it. So is there sometimes do you have to sort of like process it and process it and go through it and go through it and go through it in order to get almost bored with it so that the emotional charge is not so heavy? I'm clearing my throat too.
He says that's all about what you went through, Mom, and again, anything else that people are going through different from what you went through. It brings you, emotions, he says, can bring you to a completely vulnerable state. Possibly, most often, a state you've never visited before within yourself. So when you go to that new place emotionally and find Elisa in this place of horror, in this emotional charge, that's a new experience for you. You're understanding yourself in that emotion. So he goes, there is purpose to it happening over and over, because he goes, think of it like this. Certain AC adapters have different outputs of energy or voltage. So same thing goes with the energy and the heaviness of the energy with different situations. The charge that you just said was extreme. And in order to neutralize that, he's getting really Einstein on me. Okay, Mom, here's your flat line, right? Here's neutral. He says, down here, way down here, is where you visited emotionally. So you needed at least the opposite to neutralize that. So by visiting it over and over and over, you began to understand it. And then through time, through other experiences, you were able to achieve the opposite. So it's like when you achieve the opposite frequency, he says, then they neutralize to where, he goes, that neutral line is called healing. That's the part where you heal. So there are different degrees, he says, of those waves, those frequency waves. So sometimes you only have to go through it emotionally 2 or 3 times, and then it neutralizes and you move on. Other times it takes years, he says, to neutralize the depth of that wave or that frequency.
Okay. I'm getting there. Right?
Every day, Mom, with my help, every day, he says.
That's awesome. Any other tips on how people can let go? Or maybe you could just say one of the most important things to do in order to let go of a painful past?
He can be really matter-of-fact sometimes, and I'm like, Eric, we're humans. We're not matter-of-fact. It's very matter-of-fact for him. It's like that.
Make it sound so easy.
Exactly. He says, realizing that you exist now. Now does not have a timestamp. Yeah. He just says it's now, because going back again, you're separating from yourself. So that creates such a distortion and so many illusions even within yourself, and a disability or an inability to heal when you go back and go back and go back. Yeah.
You're just opening up the wound again and again and again.
He says, yeah, sometimes it's necessary, but the more you can just stay here in the now and feel what's here and now, the here and now will provide you healing if you connect to it and listen to it. But often we don't. We're forward, we're in the past. He says, so the now is very healing. All of you just take time to just be right here, right now.
There's a great post of Eric's in the blog that has to do with painful past too, that everybody should read. I think it's entitled Crossing the Abyss. So check that out. But I also think that looking back at whatever the painful experience was, and trying to see what you gleaned out of it in some way, there's always something positive, believe it or not, that you can get out of I guess maybe not all painful experiences, but and then when you see what you've gained from it, like I gained the ability to be more compassionate and more assertive because of my painful childhood, and then you can sort of accept the lesson, be grateful for it, and then let it go. Does that play into all of this?
He says, yeah, because kind of goes. He says it kind of goes back to the concept of looking back, and as dark as some things can be in life, there's still lessons in it. There's still
Value. There's value, man.
value, and you
Yeah.
can evolve from it. He says, so learning that lesson will provide victory, of course, after healing occurs. So there's, please believe me when I say this to you, Erik says, he says, for all of you out there, there is never a wasted experience. People will think, oh, it was such a waste. I can't believe this happened, or I can't believe they passed away that way, and it's such a waste and it's not fair. And while those are your human emotions through that experience, there's still value in it, as
Yeah.
hard as that is to believe.
So find the value, people. It is there. Maybe it's hard to find, but you can do it.
It's hard. And he says, don't deny yourself of that, because a lot of people will do that too emotionally. There's no value in that. And, it's just needing to open up their hearts a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else before we close?
He's just dancing. He said, I love you. And he has like is it the British or Scottish that wear skirts? Like a
Oh,
plaid?
the Scottish. You're wearing a kilt?
Yes, thank you. A kilt. That's what he's
Okay,
wearing.
so you're doing a Scottish jig, are you?
He
No,
is.
it's Irish jig they call them. I don't know what Scots do.
His
Okay.
legs are so white.
I know, I know. I'm so glad I'm not here to see that. There to see that.
Oh my goodness.
Well,
Goofy.
actually, I
No,
wouldn't
he's
mind.
just blowing you kisses. He says, I love you.
I love you. Thank you, Kim. You guys stay tuned for the messages at the end and how to contact Kim and book a session of your own. That can be
Bye-bye.
life-changing. Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.
I love you
Bye, everybody.
guys. Bye. I love you, Erik.
Love you, Mama.